Okay.
So I think we are there. Basically, we are live here. Yeah, so everything is set. We are on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Actually, the YouTube one is working, so we are live on YouTube already. Um, okay, yeah. So, um, set it up. Okay. Okay. So can do the chat here to see who is joining. So at this point, I think it's 30 minutes for us to start, and I've seen some people are watching already. Um, so okay, yeah. So let me verify that LinkedIn is also working. We are live. We are live here. Let's see. Um. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will post this. Okay. Okay. So I think at this point, welcome everyone for joining us here today. Today is going to be very exciting as we dive into the world of .NET aspect. I mean, basically, personally, I love .NET. So anything around .NET, I'm always happy to learn more, and I hope you are also happy to learn more. So if you are watching us, and you can always drop your question, and then I'll be reading it out for you. And then if you are also enjoying it, and then you will let us know. So welcome to Accra.net user group. So in this user group, we basically talk about .NET and Microsoft Azure. So we help community members to also understand some of the concepts around .NET and how they can also work with that. So today, the goal here is that we are going to learn about .NET which is a tool in .NET that help you to build application faster. So it's solving a lot of challenge. So by the end of this session, you get to understand what um, challenge or what problem that .NET Aspire is trying to solve, and how you can get started. I mean, how you can use it in .NET. Right? So thank you for joining us here. We have our speaker joining us who is willing to also speak to us. And thank you, sir, for accepting our invite and then joining us today here with our user group. So I don't want to do the introduction myself. So I remember the last time we invited you to our this user group where we were talking about some concepts around .NET, and today we are talking about .NET Aspire, which is a concept also or a tool inside .NET, right? So thank you for
Okay.
joining and welcome. So if you
Yeah,
can also introduce yourself, and
I
then
will.
we are happy to listen to what you have for us here today. Yeah.
Thank you, Isa. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ghana. Good morning, Accra. Yeah, I will quickly introduce myself. You see my name below my face. So yeah, I'm a software engineer mainly, working at U, which is in Basel in Switzerland. So I'm living in southern Germany, near the border. I'm also working there as an application security engineer, which is a quite interesting topic to keep the projects and the products secure. I really love this topic, so I dived into it the last 3 years, I think, already.
Yeah.
So really exciting topic as well. Also, I'm responsible for the quality inside the company. It's also an exciting topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the main topic is software engineering, so I write code. I write code with ASP.NET mainly. I'm also blogging at ASP.NET hacker.rocks. For a couple of years, I think it's already 10 years. Wrote a book about customizing ASP.NET Core. It's actually outdated, so the last version is about .NET 6, but the concepts are still the same. So if you like to read it on how to customize ASP.NET and form it in a way you need it in your projects, you can just read it. The concepts are still the same. It's .NET 5. I think it doesn't change that much. So yeah, like I say, I also like .NET. I love .NET. So I'm ASP.NET and .NET enthusiast for almost 25 years, almost. Yeah.
Wow.
I started with a pre-release, playing around, writing the first ASP.NET page in a Notepad, compiled it with the console. It was cool. It was so fast compared to the classic ASP. And so I tried to bring it into the company. It was really cool. And then I really started working with .NET and ASP.NET in production, which is, yeah, I'm super enthusiastic about this. I'm a former MVP, so just on Thursday got the notification that I'm not awarded again, but I was MVP for 10 years in a row, which was nice. It's a nice community. I'll be back again, someone. Yeah, the reason is that I didn't that much for the community the last 2 years. So there are a lot more people that are doing a lot more than I do currently. So it's absolutely fine. I had 10 amazing years with the MVP community. All right, so let's a little bit dive into the .NET Aspire. So I'll quickly scroll down. It's a little bit hard to get into the right order here. So we should also talk about cloud native before, but we should also talk about what is the Aspire before. So it's a nested topic. So what's written here is absolutely true. So .NET Aspire is a cloud-ready stack for building observable, production-ready, distributed applications. So they don't call it toolset for cloud native anymore. I really like it because it's mainly for distributed applications that are cloud ready. Because cloud native is maybe a little bit confusing, because if you read about cloud native, it's all about Docker, all about AKS and stuff. And I think cloud native is a little different. Cloud native, from my perspective, means you're writing an application that is ready for the cloud, for whatever cloud you want. It doesn't need to be inside Docker. What I work mainly on are applications that are running on app services, using a lot of different Azure services like SQL Azure, like cloud storage, like Redis cache and stuff like this. So we are building applications that are living in the cloud, and from my perspective are cloud native, but not running on Docker containers. We did some apps that are running on Docker, but I think it's not needed to be cloud native. But that's a philosophical thing. So if you Google for cloud native, you read a lot about Docker. And maybe that's a little bit misleading. So the term distributed application makes more sense. So Aspire is a tool set. It's like an SDK. So it helps you mainly to orchestrate. So the main feature of .NET Aspire, from my perspective, is the orchestration. And it's mainly done for local development. That means you can orchestrate your distributed application locally to help you to develop, to not connect to any remote services or to run all application at once. You can compare it with Docker Compose. Maybe you know about Docker Compose. It's a little YAML file where you can orchestrate all your applications, all your services you need, any Docker containers. And they know each other, they can connect to each other, and they can make use of each other. So this is what .NET Aspire mainly does. And some other features are a developer dashboard. So you have a dashboard with the overview of your running services. It's using service discovery, which is like monitoring for your services you use. So you see what's going on in your orchestration. It's really nice. And the developer dashboard increases a lot, has a lot of new features since the first release. It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Then there are a ton of components you can use, a ton of integrations you can use. You can connect to a ton of different services. You can run them locally, you can run them remotely. You don't need to care. And it also helps to deploy your orchestrated distributed application. So this is absolutely important. It's a cloud ready stack. It's built for Azure mainly. It helps you to have a production ready or an environment locally that is almost similar to your production environment. It's absolutely cool. And it helps you to compose, orchestrate your distributed application and services. That's the main thing about Aspire. So it is currently living in the .NET ecosystem. So we can download it as NuGet packages. Previously, it was distributed with what it's called. Forget about the name, about subcomponents in .NET. Like anyway, it's not important. It's a past. Yeah. So currently, it's NuGet packages. Workload. Yeah, that's a word I missed. It was distributed as workloads. This was a little bit shaky and not really stable, but now it's really cool. So it's working with .NET 8, with .NET 9. The current version is of .NET Aspire, it's 9.3. So the versioning is a little bit independent from .NET. We'll always support the current .NET version, which is .NET 8 as a long-term version, and .NET 9, which is a short-term version. And I think in November it will also support .NET 10. So it's completely independent from the current .NET version. It's just NuGet packages.
Okay, so if I'm getting it right, it means that if .NET 10 comes in, we are not expecting the Aspire version to be also 10 because that version is different from the .NET itself, right?
I think the major version will be the same, to not confuse the developers. But it's released independently. As said, it has an independent support lifecycle and so on. So the support lifecycle mainly is independent from the .NET support lifecycles. It has faster life cycles. It really is faster. It doesn't have something like a long-running support or short-running support.
Yeah, yeah.
They will distribute or provide it faster because it's just NuGet packages. They just need to provide new packages. And cool thing about .NET Aspire is when they started working on it, they also started working on the documentation. I'll quickly show you the entry page here. And this is really awesome. This is a ton of stuff you can read about Aspire. About concepts, about deployment, about the overview, what's new, pages. There's a ton of stuff, and it's absolutely worth to read it. It's always accurate and always always up to date. There's a lot of stuff about storage integrations, database integrations. You can see there's a ton of databases you can use.
Yeah.
MySQL, MongoDB, SQLite, Postgres, SQL Azure with EF Core, without EF Core, and so on. Cosmos DB is included. Ton of frameworks, framework integrations, messaging integrations, caching integrations, ton of stuff about deployment. It's mainly created to deploy to container services. You can also deploy to functions, which is, I think, kind of beta. I'm not sure if it's released already, but it is working. With some other tools, additional community tools, you can also deploy to AKS. A ton of documentation about troubleshooting, training stuff, extensions, and so on. A lot of what is coming from the community. We have Aspire samples, community toolkits, really a ton of stuff. Documentation is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. Really cool. I really love the documentation. It's very concise and help you to get started easy. No matter what you are working with, I mean, you'll get something to read. I mean, to have the scope or the overview on how to get things done. I think this is a solid work. Yeah,
and a ton
you make it easy to
start. Yes.
To get to understand.
Yeah, exactly. There's a getting started overview. Also a setup. I will quickly open this because I don't need to set up it on my machine anymore. Try to click. Try again. So it's opening in the background. You have a ton of examples with the VS Code, Visual Studio, .NET CLI, and so on. It guides you through the entire setup. As said, it's running with .NET 8 and .NET 9. It has some dependencies to Docker or Podman, as you like. You can choose whatever you want. We have integrations in Visual Studio and VS Code. The DevKit extension. You can also use JetBrains Writer. So the support is awesome as well. What you need to do is just install the project templates. The rest is it's just NuGet packages, and that's it. Just install the project templates. Really easy. We have a support. I don't show you in VS Code. I will use Visual Studio here, and the terminal. So here we have the Aspire templates listed in VS Code. Also change to what I show you soon is the CLI integration. This is also what I like about the documentation about the new learning platform. You can just change the environment here. The documentation changed. This is super cool. .NET Aspire will list all your Aspire templates. There's a lot of traffic on your side, right? Okay, good.
So it's very easy. So within these few steps, you'll be able to get Aspire working on your machine or
Yeah,
with your project, right? Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's quickly have a look at the templates.
Mm.
I'm going to use the CLI, because I
Mm.
like to do the CLIs. It's the first version of .NET Core. I'm mostly using the terminal. I pimped it up a little bit, like Scott Hanselman showed it on his blog. I really like this Oh My Porsche integration,
Yeah. Yeah.
which shows
Yeah.
me where I am. So currently it's not a Git repository. You would also see a Git branch and stuff like this here as well. So I just type a new list. You can also write a new list Aspire as in the docs. So there's a ton of stuff on my machine. So with .NET new list, you see all your .NET templates here. And this is kind of sad that it's cut it. Maybe it's because of my terminal size. I don't know. So I have a ton of project templates here. Aspire app host. We will see this in a second.
Mm.
We have Aspire, which is, I think, an empty Aspire app that includes Aspire app host and service defaults. We have the Aspire starter that I will create soon. Aspire MS test, so we can create unit test for the Aspire integration, which is super cool. You can create unit test with MS test, N unit, and X unit. A ton of other stuff here. So let's try it like in the docs. Cool. Only shows the Aspire templates. Wow, this is another one. I missed this Fluent Aspire starter.
Aspire
So I think
starter.
this is the Fluent Aspire. I think this is a demo with Fluent Blazor. I'm not sure about this, but it looks like this. So let's look at the agenda. Yeah, it was about Aspire templates. What I will show you today is about creating an Aspire app, showing you the Aspire dashboard, migrating an existing application to an Aspire app. It's also super cool. Then I will show you the Aspire shop sample, which is a little bit bigger, has some more services integrated.
Yeah.
Also, we have a short glimpse into the Aspire community toolkit. And what I didn't wrote here, this is my fault, is about deploying. So you'll also deploy to Azure. So, like that. This is N. So in case you were asking why I have a 0 and a -1 here,
That is
because
funny.
I just added the steps afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's create an Aspire app. I will use the terminal here and open the application in VS later. Now, just quickly show you how it's done here, but I like to show in the terminal to show you what's going on in the background. This is not visible in Visual Studio. Okay. I'm opening VS. It's loading the templates. Need some more time for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe because of screen sharing, cameras. Yeah. All right. So just search for Aspire here. Well, that's not what I wanted to show. Filter. Okay. So we have the Fluent Aspire starter. Yeah, as expected, it's Fluent UI Blazor integrated.
Blazor. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the .NET Aspire starter app. That's what I will create soon with the CLI, with these empty app, Aspire app host, service defaults, all the templates we have seen in the console. The unit tests and the Fluent .NET Aspire starter app, which includes a Fluent UI Blazor web frontend and an API backend service. Okay, so I will stop this, go back to the CLI, and I think this command previously. It's also nice about this terminal. I haven't done it. So I say dot and new aspire dash starter. Starter. Okay, aspire demo. Put it into the directory. Aspire demo. All right, now you can see what it's going on here. It's creating a solution. And it should also create a couple of projects. We have the service defaults, the API service, an API service, and the web project. All right. Get into it. What's just created, the API service, app host service default, and the web project. Oh, one sec. It's here. I don't think it's opening in the same Visual Studio. Let's see. No, it's not. Close this. And as always, if you have 3 screens, it's open. Oh, it's opening on the right one. Cool.
Okay.
No, it's a Razor component. Yeah, no, it's a Blazor app. Yeah. Okay. Default Blazor. And we have our API service, simple, standard endpoint for the weather forecast. What else here? What we see here is that it's adding some services. So it's calling add service defaults. And we already saw this project here, dot service defaults. We have the same here. On the front end, dot add service defaults. We also have something like this, map default endpoints. And also a funny thing here, it's an HTTP client configured, configured to this address here, which looks kind of wrong, but it's not. We'll see.
Yeah.
So it's HTTPS plus HTTP :/ API service. It's not a really address here. This is like normal. We also have here these map default endpoints. Okay, what is this?
Yeah.
Let's first look into that one. Service defaults is in this project here. It's just a class. It's class full of extension methods. It adds a lot of stuff to your project. So we have open telemetry. We have health checks. We have service discovery. Service discovery is used to find these different services, to identify these services, connect to them. We have HTTP client defaults. We got a lot of extension methods here. So these are all used here. And if we scroll down a little bit, at the end we have this one, map default endpoints. And this is just a set of endpoints that get added to your project, like health checks. And I think, yeah, health check options. So it's also using health checks to provide an endpoint to show you, or to show an dependent or an application that's calling this application, calling the current health state. So we can add some more health checks here if you like. So it provides you an endpoint to show you the state of your application. Let's see what's configured here. Maybe there's some checks configured. Yeah, there's a check. Just a simple Lambda expression check that is called self and returns just the healthy state. That makes sense, because if the application is running, it's healthy, right? You can add a lot more checks here. For example, if you're depending on another remote service or on a caching service or whatever you depend on, you can add a check here to check if this dependent service is running or if this is unhealthy. And you can manipulate the state here. You can, for example, say if the dependent service is not there, for example, caching, you would change the overall state of this application to maybe unhealthy or in an intermediate state, like manipulated and say it is degraded, for example. Your service is running, but it's not caching. Whatever you want. So health checks is a great tool to maybe optimize or optimize your application or make your application partially available. So you can just check if the SQL server is not available, or if you think about a shopping system where you have your product database available, but your shopping cart service is not available. You can tell the customer, so we are in a degraded state. You can browse through our products, but you cannot order currently until the order service is available again. Instead of just shutting down your shop or something, make it partially available, and you can react on the different states on your different services. But health checks is a different topic. I really like it, and this is used for the dashboard mainly. Okay. So this is the backend service. We have the front end and the service defaults that sets up a lot of stuff for you. And we have the app host. This is the application that is running. You see this is marked as the default app here, default project. If you go into it, I really like this view because it looks like the minimal API concept. It's not a web application, it's a distributed application builder that is created. And then here we can compose our services. See, we have our API service, let's say builder.add projects, and we add this Aspire demo underscore API service. We call it API service. And we register a health check here. This is the default endpoint name for health check. And then we add another project, which is builder, which is the web front end. It refers to the Aspire demo app, and it's called web front end. It has an external endpoint, means this is available publicly. This does not, so it doesn't have a public endpoint. It also has health checks, and it references the API service. So it means this project or this service is dependent on that one. So this is where composing happens. You can also do this with Docker Compose. And we can also say we wait for this backend service to start up this one. And at the end, we say builder build and .run. So it really looks like a minimal API, and it is. Just using a different builder here.
Yeah. So if you can zoom in a bit, right? I think people find it to yeah. It's more visible. Yeah.
Good. So this is just a small project with a small composition or orchestration. We will have a look into a bigger project later, just to see the concept. So we use the builder, add a project. We can store this project into a variable, pass it to a service, a different service that is referring to it or referencing to it. It's simple. You could do a lot more here. You can add authorization. You can add a lot more. So we can have a ton of more stuff. For example, wait for completion with annotation, with arguments, and so on. We can also set up a command to be used in the dashboard to start or stop something, or to run EF core migrations, or whatever you want to do with this command. You can add more endpoints. You can set the environment like development, staging, stuff like this. Some more health check stuff, and so on. There's a ton. Okay, let's run it. And I run it with VS for a reason. You can also run it with the console. Wow, there's a new feature in Aspire 9. That's really awesome. Okay, it's starting. Let's see what background console pops up. And the cool thing, you just use the template, click run, and it's working. It's just working. Still compiling. So if we have some questions from the audience, feel free to share them.
Okay. Yeah. So if you are watching us and then you have a question, you can drop your question. Then so looking at what we are seeing here, it means that setting up .NET is not that complicated. If you have Visual Studio installed, you can get a template from there. Even if you have the CLI, you can get a template and you can start with that.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just working. You don't need to have anything else until now. So it changes later on. Until now, it should just work without doing anything else on your machine. You see, our post is starting. Yeah. In a second, we'll have an endpoint. It will also open a browser. Thinking about starting. It's doing something in the background. Great. Okay, so what we have here is a link to the dashboard. The link to the dashboard has a login secret here that can be used to authenticate against this dashboard. This is important because if you also run this dashboard on Azure, which is possible, it shows all the applications that are all the services and all the environment variables of this service. This is quite unsecure. So I was to install the dashboard in Azure. But if you do, you should really secure it. with Azure Enter authentication or whatever you need. Oh, we have a question. Where does Dapper came in? I think Dapper is not used in Aspire. As far as I know. So maybe in the background of it, you don't really get in contact with Dapper. Okay, so it started up. And we have our dashboard. So this is how the dashboard looks like. It's Fluent Blazor app. What you can see here is our services. We have the API service, we have the front end, we have the status, it's running, we have the source and the URLs. We have some actions here. We can just stop the service. We can view the console logs and some more. If we would have configured some commands, we would see them here. Also restart, we can see the metrics and so on. We can filter. We can also see the dependency graph, which is super nice. Here the front end has a dependency, which is the API service. Yeah, we can also see the console logs of our applications. It's what you know if you start an ASP.NET Core app. That's what you see there. Same for the front end. If we now first, so I'll call this one in the browser. I always stumble upon this. I should use the HTTP instead. It's that's a bad demo. Ah, no, I know why. So I clicked the wrong. I clicked the front end. The API service doesn't have a public endpoint. Only accessible from the front end app. Okay, here it is. So that's the front end. Default ASP.NET Core template with the counter and with the weather information. So those weather information came from the API and from the backend service. If we now look at the console, we see what we have done. So this is front end. We went to the weather forecast, and yeah, so what's going on here? And if you go to the API service, you should see, but maybe it depends on the log velocity. We should see that we access the backend. So it's trying to refresh a bit to see that something is happening. Here we don't have any updates. Here we have some more updates. We have some structured logs. And we can see the color here. The color differs the different services. So more services we have, the more colors we have here. You also see the traces of our services. And also in the traces, what is happening together. So the weather is calling the API services. This is visible here. Dash weather. And we also can look into some metrics. We just need to collect service here. There's a lot of metrics you can have a look into. See this graph as a table, as you like. So this is super powerful. Doesn't maybe make sense for just two services. You can see a lot of stuff and compare them. Oh, what else? We have a link to GitHub, Aspire repo, which is interesting. We have some help. I think that links to the docs. Yes. We can also increase panel sizes. So this is for accessibility stuff, some help, navigation, so on. But what's new to Aspire 9 is that one. We have a GitHub Copilot integration. This is awesome. So when you start an Aspire app host inside Visual Studio or VS Code, you have the GitHub Copilot integrated into the dashboard. You can just ask the Copilot something. So ask for the traces and structures logs. So he's Copilot thinking. So this is a GitHub Copilot with the context of your application.
Okay. So if you are facing any issue, you'll be able to solve it with the Copilot in the dashboard without even leaving the dashboard. So you are doing everything in the dashboard. Okay.
You can definitely add. You can get into it. Yeah, you can find the issues, investigate. I think it's not solving, but you see. You can ask what's going on. You can ask for details about a specific problem.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a pretty detailed report here. Doesn't make sense for the smartphone. Yeah. We will get into this when we open the shop sample. And you can also ask some follow-up questions here, which is super nice. This is only working if you started with Visual Studio and VS Code. I think it's because of the Copilot license. And if you run it with the CLI, it doesn't know about the license. Yeah, as always, you can also switch the themes, language as well. First time started the new dashboard, it started in German. Even if I'm a German-speaking person, I was super confused. Because my machine, all my working environment is in English. I also cannot write any documentation in German anymore. So we, my daily business is English all the time. So I switched back to English here. So what do you think? I think it's super useful.
Yeah.
But you should be carefully if you deploy it to Azure. You need to secure it. Because it shows you everything. If you go into this one, or get the details. Yeah, that's the details. You have the addresses, you have the back reference information. So you have the health checks endpoints. So if this is publicly available, you as an attacker or whatever, you will see everything. Also, environment variables. Right? If there are any connection strings or secrets or whatever inside these environment variables, you will see it. So I need to be super carefully with this dashboard on Azure or on any Kubernetes environment.
Okay.
If you make it publicly available. It's super useful to see what's going on and what's provided.
Yeah. So it's means
also,
that
if you go here into this one,
we can have a lot of projects and we'll be seeing of. So let's say we are building microservices and then we have different projects. We can then put all of them together. And when we land the dashboard or when we start the application, which is the app host will be able to run all of them at the same time, and we will see all of them in here too.
Yeah. So here are the service discovery stuff. somewhere you will also see the endpoint that goes to the backend service. Search for this is environment port URLs. Here, that's it. Services underscore API services underscore HTTP and HTTPS. So here we have the actual endpoints to the API service. This gets injected into this one. So we have this kind of wrong address, but this is used for the service discovery, or this is used to inject the endpoints that are in the environment variables. So with this environment variables, this HTTP client knows where to go, or where the backend is located. So this is done with this composing here. Yeah, post. So if you compose the services together, you make this service available for this application. And this application knows the addresses and all the stuff of this service. Technically, it's just passing environment variables. But
there is a question in the chat. Somebody is asking, can we deploy this to Azure only, or is there any other cloud services that we can also deploy to?
The base setup is done to deploy to the cloud. I think there's a community integration to deploy to AWS or Google Cloud. Haven't tried it, but there's a possibility. Because the standard setup is creating bicep files to deploy to Azure only. And if you deploy to another platform, you cannot do it with bicep. I think you need to use something like Terraform. Also, I said it in the beginning, it supports deploying to Azure Container Services by default. You can use function apps as well, which is quite new to Aspire, and I think still in beta. But there are community integrations that you can use to deploy to AKS or other how it's called, this container infrastructure thing. I think this is called Aspirize or Aspirite or something like this. Haven't played around with this, so my world is Microsoft Azure. So I didn't play with the other services, other clouds. There's another question. I've created an NPM package called React Dynamics. What's this SM bar?
Yeah, I don't know.
Robust is no library provides.
I don't know.
I also don't know what you're asking, or what's the actual question.
Yeah, I think
it's
not
about integrating React apps. This is possible actually. You can also integrate other platforms like JavaScript applications. Okay.
I don't know.
Let's see. Maybe
I don't know if the person was trying to ask if they can use this with JavaScript or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
I expected the same. Yeah, it's possible adding JavaScript projects here as well.
Yeah.
Okay, we can just have a look into the builder. What's possible by default? Yeah, so we can add connection strings, containers, Docker files, executables, parameters, projects, a lot more. And if we add the specific NuGet packages, we can also add JavaScript applications like React or Angular apps. We can also add Python apps and stuff like this. But this needs additional NuGet packages. All right. So that's this, but let's asperize an existing application. How does it look? So I will open the project. Open. I usually click on this. Recent projects. Yeah, I think it's the one. Yeah, I want to stop debugging. This is another weather app. Two apps inside, two projects on a front end. And it's the same thing. So it's also a Blazor app and a simple API service. See, same thing. But this is not an Aspire app. So how to asperize this? So I think there should be a button somewhere hidden. Always searching for this. Maybe it's on the project. So yeah, search for it. I am here. Container orchestration. I think this is Docker. Yeah, here it is. .NET Aspire Orchestrator support. Discovering .NET Aspire templates. You can select the Aspire version. So I clicked here and said add .NET Aspire orchestration support. And project name prefix is weather app, so I recognize it already. And it will create an app host and service defaults. So let's have a look. And with its simple clicks, you can make your app an Aspire app. It adds an app host project. It adds the service defaults here. Figures your project. It needs some updates, it seems. No, it does not. Okay. Here we have still an exclamation mark. Maybe it's still loading the packages. Yeah, it's there. Okay, let's have a look. What if it's all the stuff? Yes, it adds the service default, so it changes your project slightly. It doesn't add the default endpoint. It does. Yeah, map default endpoints. In the starter app, it was here. It should be okay here as well. Did it change the backend service? Let's have a look. It does not. Oh, sorry. Oh, we need to add Aspire support here as well. Again, let's say add Aspire orchestration support. So it says Aspire orchestration project already exists in the solution. Weather app host. Visual Studio will update it to add weather app.backend to its orchestration. That's what we want to have. Okay. And now we have the service defaults here as well. What I miss? No, here it is. The default endpoints as well. So we now have a Aspire project. Let's have a look into the app host. So it just adds the backend and the front end without a composition. So what we need to do is we change the lines. We say var API, we'll call it backend. Let's call it backend. Because it's called backend here as well. And now we need to add it to our front end. No, that's not what we want to see. Add room. No, it's called with right. With reference. Like this. So that's it basically. And I think the ports will change. This is custom here. We don't have a. We have a page where that's shown here. Okay, here we have our weather API. Just want to check if it's connected correctly. So our client here. It's going. It's loading from a JSON file. It's located here. No. Yeah, let's try it out. So you would need to configure the HTTP client and the connection to it. That's what you need to do manually. But with this position, we make this orchestrated. So we make this project dependent on the service as a reference. And this also should just start and showing up the dashboard. So making this project or this solution an Aspire solution is just adding .NET Aspire orchestration support and configuring the orchestration afterward. Maybe in the meantime, the person from the audience, Fardeen, maybe rephrase his question. Oh, we have an error. Let's see where. Device name icons. Maybe there's some packages missing. Just restarted the build. Okay, I will not dive into this error, so it doesn't seem to start. It will waste some time if we dive into this error and get this running. But I think you get the concepts. If you have an existing application that is a kind of a distributed application and want to orchestrate it together, just right-click the project, add orchestration support, configure the app host, add more services you want to use. For example, add a connection string, add a container if you are if you need a separate service running inside a container. If you load the Aspire packages, you can also add support for direct support for SQL Azure, for example. I think that's a different thing. It's possible to go to the NuGet references or NuGet packages, or this. Use this thing here. Add .NET Aspire package, which opens NuGet Explorer with a specific filter. Yeah, you have this filter here: Aspire, tags, integration, and hosting, and you see a lot of integrations and hosting packages. So we have two different kinds of packages. Integration packages are used on the client side. Hosting packages are used on the app host. So Packages starting with aspire.hosting can be used in the app host to orchestrate the service, for example, Redis cache, or here SQL Server, or a Node.js application running, Postgres, storage, and so on. There's a ton of stuff. If we scroll down, we should somewhere see integrations. Here we have a lot of community toolkit. I will show you later on. Community toolkit also provides a ton of hosting and integration packages you can use. Still hosting. You see, it's a ton of stuff. I was on their post. Yeah, makes sense. So you would use this one to add a reference to a SQL Server, for example, or PostgreSQL, or whatever you need. Also, Key Vault is supported, which is nice. You can configure your secrets in Key Vault and get access inside your app host integration, app host orchestration. Here we have, because of the question about Dapper, we can integrate Dapper. So it's not part of Aspire, but we can integrate it via Dapper support. You see, there's a ton of hosting integrations here. All right, we'll close this and open the shop. Yeah. Any other questions from the audience?
For now, not yet. So I think you have answered the Dapper question right here. So now we can also add that one as external support, but it's not built in default, but we can bring in and then we can use it, right? You can see, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is, I'll close all the files here and show you that one. This is the Aspire shop sample. You can get a lot of samples from the samples project. So I downloaded the sample project. These are all the Aspire samples. Go into samples folder. You see a lot of different samples. Samples are related on containers, custom resources, database migrations included, standalone dashboard, a lot of stuff. Aspire with Node.js, Aspire with Python, health checks UI, metrics, and so on. I opened the Aspire shop, and it has different services here. So we have the front end, we have the catalog service, we have a DB manager and the catalog DB, and a backend service. So there are different services and some more items that are integrated with the orchestration here. So you see this is it's bigger than in the samples project. So we have a Postgres integration that also includes the PG admin, which is nice. So you will see the Postgres admin interface. Then we add a database, Postgres. So we have Postgres here in the variable. We can do a lot of stuff with it. With a data volume, for example, we can add a database to Postgres, which is called catalog. We also add Redis. With the data volume, with the Redis commander, which is the UI for Redis. And these are our services, the catalog DB manager. And this catalog DB manager has a command that says reset the DB. Can be called from the dashboard. We have the catalog service, and we have the basket service, and the actual project. So here, the basket service is depending on the cache. Is the Redis cache, I think? Yeah. The catalog DB manager is dependent on the catalog DB on the PostgreSQL. And what I said about the health checks previously, here you can add health checks, for example, if this basket service is not available, so the actual shopping service. But if this one would be not available, you can just configure health checks to make this here still running to show the products without the possibility to actually buy stuff, right? Because this would not be working in this scenario. Anyway, back to Aspire. So we have these different services, and we see here that we have different endpoints configured. This one has an external endpoint. And we have two references, to the basket service and to the catalog service. And we want to wait for the catalog service. Because we also need to ensure that the catalog service is running, and the catalog service needs to wait for the database. So I think the orchestration is clear. Let's try to start it. So it will start, definitely.
So this one has a lot of projects inside in it. So you can see different projects.
See different projects. I don't know why the Copilot is always sitting in the front when it's starting. So yeah, we have a lot of projects and some more dependencies. Cache and the database. So cache and database is not included in the solution, but we have dependencies to it. So we will see in a second how this is integrated. We are not running a Postgres database somewhere yet. We don't have Redis cache running somewhere. And it's not included in the solution. So let's see what's happening. Okay, it's starting up. We will see the dashboard. And now it's interesting. You will see the different services and the states of the services, and the states will change. So it's loading what's orchestrated. Hopefully, yes. And we see some states here. The basket cache is unhealthy because it's not running. Same with the commander, same with the Postgres and the pgadmin. And the basket service, catalog manager, and so on are still waiting. These services are waiting for the database and the cache. And the question is why it's not starting, why it's waiting. I know the answer. But asking you or the audience, maybe you folks know why it's not working.
Yeah. So if somebody can help us, because I can see the answer is also clear. If you look at the dashboard, you get to know why it's not running. So if you are watching us, and you can also guess why the services are not running, and it's saying that it's not, it's unhealthy, right? So it means that it's not running. It's not getting what it wants. Yeah.
We could ask Copilot.
Yeah. So when you check the source, it depends on Docker. Yeah.
That was the answer. Yeah. That was the keyword.
Yeah.
So what's it saying? The resource basket cache is in the runtime unhealthy state. The description is container runtime was found but appears to be unhealthy. Okay. But what we know, this is a generic error. Yes, it's absolutely generic. It doesn't say anything. Plan before action. Fetch console logs for basket cache. Good idea. Review logs for port binding image pull failures. So another keyword, image. Now we don't load pictures, but we need a different kind of image here. Out of memory, permission errors, yeah, maybe. Issue summary. Resource basket cache is not running because the container runtime Docker is unhealthy or inaccessible. That's it. We need Docker. We need a Docker runtime.
Yeah.
We use Podman locally or Docker desktop. So we need this. I will start Docker desktop. So we need a Docker. So first, we don't have a Redis cache or Postgres database locally. And we did not refer to any remote services. We need a Docker container. So what Aspire is doing is it's pulling the images, or it tries to pull the images and start them. But Aspire wasn't able. So my machine Docker desktop is still starting. I didn't start for a reason because I wanted to show this.
Yeah.
Okay. We're waiting for Docker. Cool. We can have a look into the console. Oh, container runtime wasn't found. It was found, but appears to be unhealthy. Yeah, Docker runtime is there, but Docker desktop is not started. So that's why I like the Copilot integration and why I like the dashboard. Without the dashboard, we would have known what's going on here.
Yeah.
Desktop is still not there. Let's start in.
So it means that when you are working with this technology, you also need Docker when you have some kind of images that you'll be using, like the databases and everything.
Website. No, I don't want to do this. Yeah. A service that is not available remotely or not referred to a remote service. And to a service that is not defined in your solution. Yeah. It tries to download the images Docker.
Okay.
Or Podman.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. As soon Docker desktop is started, I think it also tries to restart the cache and the database. We'll need some time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the screen sharing stuff that slows down my machine a little bit.
Yeah,
we can add some questions and discussions if you like.
Yeah. So at this point, if you have any question, you are watching us, you have any question, there is something you don't understand, you can drop your question and we'll answer those questions for you. Yeah, so it means that when we are working with .NET Aspire, and then you have some services or dependency defined, and you don't have any remote source connected to it, Aspire will try to pull it from a Docker Hub or something like that, right? So you need a Docker desktop for it to run. So in this case, we are going to pull all these Postgres and those databases from Docker Hub, and it okay. So that this is amazing. Mm, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. I think we are seeing some internet issue right now. Oh, it's my okay. So it seems like we are facing some internet issue right now. Yeah, yeah, you
Okay.
are back.
So
I think.
let's still integration with just Ubuntu and stop. Do you want to start it? Let's restart it.
Okay.
It seems there's some issues with you sometimes. I'm not sure if this is on my side. You also
Yeah,
see the state on the left side.
yeah,
So it says it's
yeah.
starting.
You see, it started.
We
Yeah.
see the containers here. With the cache, we have our basket cache. I think that's the UI. Let's see it. Admin here. Database is there. Cache is there. I think this is the UI. It's still in the starting phase. But you saw it that the state changed here. The state of these services from unheard to maybe because of the issues. Let's try start it directly here. Okay. PG admin. We'll click them all here. Oh no, we don't need MySQL server. Anyway, let's this one. Yeah, see my machine is laying down.
Yeah, yeah. It's
You're not
it's getting
responsible.
the well, yeah. But I think the concept is very yeah. Yeah, so I think the concept is clear where we have um
Concept is
a project, and
clear,
this
yeah.
in this case, yeah, we have a lot of projects. We have dependencies that our project depends on, right? And instead of us, as we said earlier on,
Yeah.
initially we were doing Docker file and Docker compose. So each one of these projects will have a Docker file, and Docker compose will try to combine all of them and run it for us. So in this
It's
case,
almost there.
yeah,
Almost there.
all these things have started. Yeah, okay. See, the Postgres is started. Yeah,
Same issue for the audience.
yeah. So
Let's
we are
wait
still
for a couple
waiting
of
for
seconds.
your questions.
And then I
Yeah.
will skip this. Sure.
Mm.
So we saw the dashboard. We saw the migration to an Aspire app. And this is this. And if the sample is not running, we'll show you what's inside the toolkit, and then we're going to deploy the sample app to Azure. Let's see what's going on here.
It's trying to.
All right. Start this one. This one is not needed. Refreshing dashboard. Okay, this is still failing to start here, even if the container is running. Oh, that's the last try. Push the button. Runtime is still unhealthy.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I can try is to restart here. Okay, that's the very last try. Get this running. It did run yesterday.
Yeah. I think because of the life we are doing, this consume a lot of CPUs and memory and all that. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, what's up? I think Docker Desktop is now here. So this is running. It's available.
Yeah.
Okay. When I
Visual
stop
Studio.
debugging, it will shut down all the containers. Still issues with the Docker Desktop. Okay. Okay, it's a Docker Desktop issue. Got this error message again. Okay, then let's continue with the presentation. Stop this thing here. Soon it's available again. And also stop Visual Studio as soon as it's available.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can try to hard shut down. What? All right, so we'll close this and go back here. My machine completely. Okay, so at least the terminal is responding. This is responding again, so we'll close this. Okay, back to the presentation. So we'll quickly open the toolkit GitHub repository and show you what's in there. There's a ton of stuff. Opening should work. So this is a community project, I think initially started by Microsoft. If click is not working, I will copy this over to the browser. Yeah, initially created by the and now completely maintained by the community. If you like add more integrations or hosting integrations, you can just do it. Feel free to contribute to this project and add a ton more of stuff. Maybe you want to integrate an exotic service, something else, maybe SMTP servers or whatever you want to integrate. You can just do it. My complete machine is unresponsive. Let's wait. I think I can shut down Docker completely. It is shut down. Okay. Okay, this is loading. Also not responding, so this is live demo. Love it. Come on. Awesome. I need to close some windows here. This is not good. At least screen sharing is working. I'm going to use Task Manager. Yeah, this is fun. So even Task Manager is not responding. Let's have a look at the comments. Yeah, I want to shut down anyway. I want to look at the questions and comments from the audience. Nothing new yet. Okay. Seems that it is kind of working again. No. Okay. So I'll just shut down terminal. Those all. Open it again. Now we have the community. Sorry for jumping forth, but my machine was slowing down and kind of frozen. So here we are. ISP.NET Aspire Community Toolkit. So maintained by the community with a ton of integrations here. So what we have, for example, is we can use Golang language. And once again, because I clicked 2 times or 3 times. All right. So we can add Java apps. Sorry for this. I clicked 3 times while the computer was frozen. And now it's opening 3 times. Great. We have a Node.js integration in hosting. We can add AI, for example. We can add an Ollama language model. We can add Ollama Sharp, the API to access Ollama. Mail search, if you like. Data API builder. Hosting demo, SQL database projects. Maybe you know the database projects where you can write your SQL table create statements and stuff like this. Could be integrated. Also, Rust is supported. Yeah, Python, event store, ActiveMQ. There's a ton of stuff. Dapper Redis. Also RavenDB. And you can see there's a ton. It's quite huge. Yeah. And it would super cool to see this growing a lot more. So if you want to create your own integration, add your own cloud service or your own language, maybe Fortran integration or something like this, you can just do it. You can just add it here. And this is cool. So this is growing. Community is huge. Yeah, we have 45 contributors. A lot of stars. So I would really like to see this growing more. Okay. But I think this is important. If you have a exotic service, look at the community toolkit, look if it's there, and if not, try to find it somewhere else or build it by yourself. Okay, back to deployment. So here we have no, we don't have it here. Also for the deployment, we have a super cool documentation. And we have another command line interface that helps you to deploy your stuff. And here, so the same requirements here. And we have a toolkit called AZD. And you can download the AZD with the NuGet command line. And it's super simple Azure management or Azure deployment CLI. I really like it. It's if you know, for example, the PowerShell integration, Azure PowerShell, stuff like this. For me as a developer, it's super complex and it's difficult to learn. And this one is super simple. Just had just a couple of commands. So we need to open the terminal again, and then we will deploy the sample app to Azure. Opening on the wrong window.
Yeah. Okay. So it means that with just a few commands, you'll be able to deploy your application to Azure.
Yeah. So, Aspire. We have, I think we call it Aspire demo, right? The working demo. All right. So, documentation says we need to write AZ init to initialize. But let's have a look what's inside. AZ-H. So, that's one. Yes, AZD. That one. AZ exists as well. It's a more complex CLI, but better from my perspective, better than the PowerShell stuff. So as you can see, this is quite simple. Just a couple of commands. You know, this getting started commands, which is init and up. Init is initializing the application to make it ready to deploy to Azure. And we have AZD up, which just publish it to Azure. Also some commands for authorization against your Azure environment. Called deploy down to shut all the stuff down or provision. We will just use these both commands and maybe the authentication command. Yeah, some managing configs and show version and so on. This is really super simple. Let's use AZD init. And it asks us what to do. Select a template means creating a new one, or scan the current directory. So we want to scan the current directory. And it tries to find the projects or try to find Aspire orchestration. So it's doing a lot of stuff for you. Any questions so far?
No, not yet. This is, yeah. So it means that with the CLI, there was also a CLI command that can help us to deploy this to Microsoft Azure. I mean, yeah.
There were some audio interruptions. Get your question, please.
I hope you can hear me clear, right? It seems like my.
No, there were some interruptions. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, so I was saying that so with there was a help of, I mean, there was a command line 2, which is coming from Microsoft Azure, and it can help you to deploy your Aspire, project just from your command line. Like what you are showing us right now,
Exactly.
and then with a few command, you get it deployed, to Microsoft Azure.
Exactly what.
So I was asking, are we going to have the same dashboard that we have? You showed us locally, are we going to have the same on Microsoft Azure? So
We are not going to see the dashboard. I tried it a couple of hours ago. We see the actual projects. We see our web front end, and we will see that the front end is working and working together with the backend. All right. So now it scanned the project, and it found something. It found the app host, so our orchestration. It's asking what to do next. So we can confirm and continue initializing the app or cancel. Okay, let's continue. We should add a name, an environment name. Call it Accra Weather. So this is done. So this AZD init configured the solution to be deployable to Azure. So that's it for this. So initialization is done. And when I say AZD up, it starts deploying. Maybe I need to authenticate against my Azure environment. So it's analyzing the Aspire application. So with the init, it also creates the Azure YAML and the next steps .md file. So the Azure YAML is all the configuration of the local environment. Yeah, now it's initialized bicep provider. So we have a provider that creates the bicep files that are needed to deploy to Azure. We can add another provider to deploy to another platform. So now I am already authenticated. If you're not authenticated, you get a new command to authenticate. Then a browser window pops up. You need to authenticate there, and AZD gets the token. So I can choose between different subscriptions. I take this one. So it already knows your subscriptions if you're logged on, which is nice. Oh, and then it asked me 4 regions. I'm in West Europe. This means the data center in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Choose this one. And then it starts. So, and I will take another window here. So those are my resource groups available. Refreshing. And somewhere I get a 4th one. So also provides me a link to a overview, deployment detail overview. I can open it if I want. So now we have our new resource group, which is RG-Aqua Weather. So this is cool. I can also go into this. As you can see in the console what it's doing, and in the browser window you see what it actually did. So we have 2 services here, which is managed identity, log analytics workspace. Cool. As you can see, it is super simple to deploy it. In the docs, there are also samples how to deploy from Visual Studio. But you as experienced developers, I think you never want to deploy from Visual Studio from the command line, just to play around. But there's also documentation on how to deploy from Azure DevOps or another build server. it makes sense to use a build server to deploy some release pipelines or whatever you use to deploy your applications. Deploying from your local machine is not the best idea for applications that are in production. It's nice for playing around. So some new services in the container apps environment. We have a container registry. So what it does here, it is creating images from your projects, from your services, from the services you created. So it's creating images and pushing the images to the container registry. So it's doing a lot of stuff for you, and what you don't need to. If you would use Docker Compose or something like this, you would need to write your Docker files. You would need to build your images, pushing them to Docker Hub or manually to the container registry and all the stuff. But this simple command, azd-up, is doing all the stuff for you. Also deploying the stuff to, or creating the resources on Azure and getting it running. So this is super cool. It helps a lot and saves a lot of time. Just this simple CLI. Now imagine what you need to do using the Azure PowerShell.
Yeah, you need to write a lot of script and all that. So I think this is awesome. So
yeah,
it's creating everything for you. So so now this is the initial project we are trying to deploy. So what if as we know, you're going to make changes to your application, right? And then you want to redeploy the application, you want the new change to be in the cloud. How do you go about that one?
You could just run azd-up again. So it's already initialized with azd init. Change the code and run azd-up. So it creates new images, updating the container registry, and I think it is connected. So the container apps are connected to the Azure registry. As soon a new image is there, it gets deployed.
So it will find the changes and update it.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Yeah. But in production, please use Azure DevOps or something else to.
Have some pipelines. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Also run tests before whatever you need to do.
Yeah. So it's creating everything for you, and then you have your app.
Yeah.
I mean, deploy. And this is a great way of doing it. You don't need to go and learn about a lot of complex scripts on how to deploy your application and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't need to build Bicep by your own. It's all done in the background. I'm not sure if you try to write your own Bicep files or try to read them.
Yeah. Bicep can be confusing at that point.
Yeah, you need to know this. Very good. It's a lot of stuff to write. Okay, now it's deploying the services. It's deploying the API service. Let's have a look here. So it's creating the instance. Not there yet. It's still in deploying state. So the best things about Aspire, from my perspective, is the orchestration and the azd deployment. This is really awesome.
Yeah.
The dashboard as well, but it's not that place. So first it's orchestration, then azd, and then it's the dashboard. This is and all the thousands of integrations you can use.
Be able to see everything, how things are going. And then the Copilot, I think for now, my favorite feature is the Copilot that we have in there. You'll be able to also explain things for you. So you can even go back to your code and face the issue.
Copilot in the dashboard is super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super cool. I mean,
But I said the Copilot is only there if you start there from VS Code or Visual Studio. You need to have a Copilot license. If you start your application from the CLI, it's not there.
it's not there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if the Copilot is available if you start the dashboard in Azure.
Probably Azure
Okay,
has
so we have
some Copilot.
Yeah, probably. Okay, API service is there. Now it's deploying the
Yeah.
front end. You see, we already have the endpoint available here. I'm sure it's not showing anything because it doesn't have public endpoint. Yeah, the API service doesn't have a public endpoint. Only available for the front end container.
The front end, yeah.
Which makes sense.
But in case you have, so this is good when you have an API endpoint which is exposed in the public or something like that. Is you're gonna have access to them. It's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's already secured. So the backend service is not available to the public. It's only available to the services that need this backend service. This is super cool. You don't need to configure it manually in Azure. So it doesn't have only the front end has.
Yeah, it's trying to deploy the front end.
Yeah, in a second. Yeah, it's awesome what you can see in the dashboard. It's super cool, super helpful.
Yeah.
Also, if you face some issues with connectivities between services, you can have a look into the environment variables and check if the settings are correct. Stuff like this. That's super useful.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I am not hire in our company yet because we are really pretty much working with app services. And Aspire is not deploying to app services yet. We could deploy to container services, yeah. But the default setup on our side is using app services and other Azure services around. Soon we have support for app services. That would be cool. We could use it in our company as well. So all the services are there. We have the web front end.
Yeah.
We have, it says it has deployed the dashboard. This worked yesterday and a couple of hours ago. Oh, let's click one. I need to authenticate. This is good. So it set up the dashboard to only accessible for authenticated users.
Users, okay.
Yeah, it uses Enter ID, but for some reason it's not working. So there's a configuration problem, but the web front end should be available.
Oh, okay. So if you want to see the dashboard,
here it is.
You need to be authentic. Okay.
Yeah, I need to dig into the problem with this dashboard. It was working a couple of days ago. It wasn't working yesterday and not working a couple of hours before the session for some reason. Maybe it's I updated something. Usually I don't want to do updates on Aspire or Docker or something just a couple of minutes before the presentation. That breaks everything.
Yes.
Happens a lot of times. But yeah, as you can see, it's up and running. it's calling the weather data from the backend service, which is
Babakan.
nice. So this is super cool. Deployment
Yeah.
worked. We don't have the dashboard, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
We can just run it locally. All right. That's it with the presentation.
Yeah.
Meantime, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have 10 more minutes for Q&A.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I think this personally I've learned a lot. And I'm hoping to also get my hands dirty as I'm gonna practice on how I can also create and then also deploy to
Yeah,
Microsoft Azure. Yeah. So those of you watching us
it's so
all
fun.
over, if you have a question, this is a time to drop your question. And if you want to get to know how you can work with Azure, I think this is a very comprehensive section right now. So we have covered everything you need to know to put to create your project and get it to Microsoft Azure. This is awesome. So I think we
At least everything to get started.
yeah
There's a
everything
ton more.
yeah everything is get started. Yeah. So the moment you get a project to Microsoft Azure, I think you have already started. The rest is just you reading the documentation and see how you can improve it and then maybe build something on top of it. I think that is the key. So
Yeah,
yeah. I think we'll be waiting for questions for a few minutes. If there is no question, then we'll just do the closing mark and then we'll say thank you for
yeah,
for your time. So this is
yeah. In case you folks, sorry, in case you have questions later on,
yeah.
just ping me on LinkedIn,
Okay.
connect to me, and yeah.
Okay.
Cynthia wrote, "This is very new to me, and I have a lot to learn." Yeah, but the beginning or the getting started is really easy, and it's just working with simple projects. Um, cool.
It's not that hard. I mean, to get started.
Yeah, exactly. It's a super cool documentation. I really love it. They did a lot of work there. There are a ton of presentations. Also, the YouTube channels from the .NET team is full of Aspire demonstrations.
Yeah.
This is super cool. Yeah, follow the stand-ups, follow the ASP.NET stand-up, the Aspire stand-up, and so on. This is super useful.
Yeah. 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 So thank you so much for your time. I think the community
Thank
member
you for having me.
have also learned a lot. And this video is gonna sit on YouTube, so people will come later on and also watch. And so thank you so much. I think we have spent a couple of hours, 2 hours almost. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for your time, and then we are much appreciate for you being here, and we have learned a lot. Right.
thank you.
So we hope, yeah,
Thank you very
in
much.
case in the future we'll see you again on any topic that will come up. Right. So thank you so much, and
Sure.
thank you guys for watching us. 2 hours, and you guys have been watching us, and thank you guys so much for being here. So we'll see you in another event. So thank you guys for now. I think we
Thank
can
you.
say
Have a